On City Council regular meeting, August 13th, 2019, to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Merrifield,
Here.
Councilmember Rice,
Here.
Councilmember Yan,
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Here.
Councilmember Bledsoe,
Here.
Councilmember Grubb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mason,
Here.
Councilmember Manella,
Here.
Councilmember Blood.
Here.
If you'd all stand for opening ceremonies, the prayer will be by Reverend Mark Staples, the pledge by Councilmember Rice. Mark's not here.
I swear, I
Gee,
don't
do
think.
we have anybody that could fill in for a change?
I'll try.
Well, I don't know, I'd like to have a real speaker.
Me
May we pray. Gracious Lord, we pause in the midst of these esteemed city council people, knowing the responsibilities they have. We give you thanks that they have looked to the hills from whence cometh thy help. They look to the words of Jeremiah to return to the city and seek the welfare of all. And we give you thanks for the work that they do, from helping with the police department in the National Night Out to working at Palatine Park and hearing the report this evening. We give you thanks for the work that they've done since 37 years ago they moved into the new complex at the J. Harper Meredith Building. And 37 years ago, as Owens, Illinois closed, we give you thanks that within the past year and a half, over 50 new businesses, both private and public, have come into existence here in Fairmont. God our Father, their work and their deliberation, their challenges, their hopes and their visions, that Fairmont may become a place where we can be proud of. And as the high tech expands, may we expand to serve others regardless of race, nationality, creed, sexual orientation. Go with us now and guide us in our service today and in our service to each other. For our Father, you have taught us that as we serve one another, we serve you. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the great city.
Thank you, Dee Dee, and thank you, Councilmember Rice. I trust you've all had a chance to read your minutes that you received on your tablets. Are there any corrections or amendments to the minutes? Is there a motion to accept the minutes? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are accepted as written. Thank you. We have one public hearing tonight. Would the clerk please read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance authorizing and approving the design, acquisition, construction, and equipping of a new fire station to be constructed on real property located in the vicinity of 828 Vermont Avenue in the city of Fairmont and to be known as the East Side Fire Station by the city of Fairmont on behalf of the Fairmont Building Commission, the leasing of such real property and all project improvements and appurtenances thereto by the city of Fairmont from the Fairmont Building Commission, the sale and issuance by the Fairmont Building Commission of its not to exceed $3 million principal amount of lease revenue bonds in one or more series, prescribing the forms and authorizing the execution and delivery of an agreement and lease and other instruments, and authorizing and approving other documents and matters relating to the terms and security of such bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Is there anyone here to speak for the ordinance?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we support this profoundly. It's a very exciting time to be looking for a new fire station, so very much so.
Anyone else here to speak for the ordinance?
Fire Chief Ed Simmons, we are here. Important votes tonight. We've been working for 2 years on this project diligently. A lot of people involved. It's nice tonight for you guys to support like we've said you want to for the last 2 years. We've got an awesome start to this project. A lot of hard work finding the grant. A lot of employees, and the finance department, to my personnel, to planning, building department. It's all come together now. Alman Associates done a wonderful job in the conceptual design. So they are ready to get the funding to move forward for the build documents, so we can bid it out. Great grant. Tom Amon's here tonight on the bond side, and also I have Adam O'Reilly from Omni, who's going to give you just a short, I wouldn't say presentation, but just an overview, 1,000-foot overview of what the structure is real quick, and field questions from either side, if you guys would allow. Any questions of me? Adam?
Just got free. Start.
Do you want to maybe put it over here so the audience can see it too?
Yeah, wherever you think's best.
I think we can all see it, it's right there. Where did we go? Sorry,
So I'm Adam Rahali with partner with Omni Associates Architects. For this, we also have a design consultant, a fire station design consultant out of South Carolina, Don Collins, owns the spot here with us today. He was instrumental, along with Chief and Chief's committee. They should be commended. They did a lot of hard work, a lot of meaningful work. I don't know if any of them are here today, but I'm really just the computer behind these guys' vision, so hopefully it comes to life the way they see it. Some of the main goals with this, I'll be quick here, but the three main goals with this design is to efficiently and effectively deploy the resources of the fire station. So what that means is basically safely and easily let these guys get from their daily routine to the emergency bay and out to emergencies. Secondly, to support the first responders' health and safety. So with fire station design, things have really evolved over the last, 100+ years. The first responders' safety, health and safety has become a big issue. So design of the fire stations has evolved to accommodate that. Fire personnel are now being diagnosed with cancer at a 10% higher rate than other folks, and there's a lot of other stats and things that support that. Basically what that means in the design of the building is that we separate it into three main areas, and you can see the kind of color coding from where you're sitting. But basically that means a hot zone where the airborne, bloodborne pathogens are sort of kept to. There's a middle decontamination zone where they have a chance to clean off from those things. And then there's a green zone or an occupied zone, which kind of is blue from where you're sitting with this. A blue zone or occupied zone. So that's kind of, in a quick nutshell, how we respond to designing these things to help support the health and safety of first responders. And then the last and possibly the most important from where you're sitting is a cost-effective structure that meets the budget. So there was a lot of back and forth on this particular site. I think we're pretty efficient on every square foot of it, pretty much. Yeah, the goal is to maximize it and really get your money's worth for what you guys have in this particular site. The building itself is about 11,000 square feet on 2 stories with a 2-bay apparatus bay. Apparatus bay is about 2,200 square feet. It has room to accommodate what they have now and a little room for expansion. On the first floor, there's plenty of storage space, the decontamination space that I mentioned. I won't get into a lot of the equipment that they have will require for this. There's kitchen space, day room space, a little bit outdoor room space, a lobby space for the public, the training room space, and some of it's kind of hybrid in this footprint. And then upstairs, there's the day room and fitness area, laundry facilities for the first responders to stay. I
guess there's plenty of breakdown within those three main bullet points, but another thing that was important in this design was the neighborhood. So not only does this need to be a beacon for the community, a place where the public can go if they're in need or need help, and it's easily recognizable, but it also needs to blend into that neighborhood to Vermont. It's a residential area, even more so than, even though it's only a block or two down from where they are now, it's still in a residential spot. So we tried to use some scales and heights of things and break up the mass of it and use some different materials that responded to the pedestrian scale and to the materials used in that residential setting. So I guess anything else, that's kind of the quick 10,000 feet version. So anybody has any specific questions about the design, where we are right now?
One correction, I think it was around 85 square feet, not 11,000. But anyway. Good. So,
It looks like a beautiful facility.
Sure is.
And the mayor and I toured the existing station, and we learned that it wasn't even up to code, for heaven's sakes, our own. And the chief says, don't say that.
It was 100 years
But
ago.
I'm so happy that we're getting rid of that building and creating a new station that's going to help keep Fairmont safe. Thank you.
Living in that neighborhood, thank you, that's a great improvement on the house that was there. It's not, like you were saying, it is not an industrial type, it fits in.
Sure. Another thing that was important to the chief is, you know, typical commercial structure is 25, 30-year lifespan. We would like for this to be more like 75, 80-year lifespan.
We do hundreds.
You know, or 100.
Yeah. Hopefully Frank's property tax doesn't go up with this new structure.
I hope my insurance goes down.
There's another wish. There's another wish. Thank you, good job on that. I think I speak for everyone on council and the city manager that I know this has been going on for a while, but we feel pretty strongly about supporting our first responders on all the sides of the aisle, basically, and the chief and his group are happy with that. That's the big thing, because I know the quality work they already do, and good job on being a computer for them.
Yeah.
They definitely need a computer. Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak for the ordinance? Is there anybody to speak against the ordinance? I declare this public hearing closed. Announcements. Dora, you want to go first?
I have none.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Are you okay?
Anthony?
Mayor, I just want to thank the people who cleaned the streets after the storm we had over the latter part of the week. I drove by some streets on yesterday, and I saw people out there cleaning sidewalks, cutting up trees, making it possible to travel from one point to another, and I think it's appropriate to express appreciation for the people who did that from the city. Thank you.
On the same vein, I'd like to thank Monpower and First Energy for working so hard, day and night, to get the power back on to everyone in this area. It was quite a storm.
Gary?
All I can say is ditto.
Ditto? Yeah. Rex?
Yes, I want to be the first to congratulate Janet on the award of this weekend. Sorry I couldn't be there, but while you guys were gone, I did get to attend the National Nights Out here in town. It was a wonderful night with all the first responders out, Chief Simmons, Chief Shine. Definitely nice to see all the community and the kids get together with all our officers. So it was a real good night. Thanks to Hannah for putting it together and all of our city staff.
Maybe you missed that. Frank?
I just want to repeat again on Janet's award. For those that don't realize, it's a West Virginia Municipal League Award. It's called the Lydia Main Award, and it's given to someone with outstanding abilities, which she has. And she's not only an asset to us in Fairmont, we know on City Council, people of Fairmont know, but the Municipal League counts on her so much because of her depth of knowledge and her experience. And Janet, I've been to several of these, and you're the best. And I think and I had one other, she's not around, but I had a call from Mr. Lehman on Ohio Avenue. He had an afternoon theft a couple of weeks ago, and he was so happy with the response, the quick response they had, and that the officer that came, he may not get the item back, but he said it won't be for the lack of effort. And I asked, did he get the name, and he said no, but they only have one woman, so it's got to be her.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. David?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Tom?
Well, as far as Janet's award goes, I don't know if it's good or bad, but she and I have been around long enough that we knew Lydia May. I also want to say something about the recently retired finance director, Eileen Lehman. When I first got on council back in the late 90s, Eileen came to work then and took over that finance department. And it wasn't really in a great condition as far as a lot of things. But she took the bull by the horns, she used her CPA abilities and her firmness, and it wasn't long that she shaped it into what it is today as she's retired. And if you look at the balance sheets for the city of Fairmont, she had a lot to do with how strong our positions are. And she was a very good steward of the people's money. So I wish her a very long and happy retirement. She's earned it. She did a wonderful job working for the city of Fairmont.
Absolutely. Several of us went to the West Virginia Municipal League last week and learned some stuff and had a nice time, made a lot of connections, and hopefully we can implement some of the things that we learned. Well, we will. I'd like to thank the chief for filling in for the city manager. I might be stealing her thunder, but that's okay. She can thank you too. While we were gone, our chief stood in and took care of everything. And when that big storm hit, he was the guy. So it's, couldn't have had a better guy in charge, and we appreciate you taking care of things. Citizens petitions. Okay, first citizens petition is from Dan Weber. If you'll approach the podium and give your name and address, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
My name is Dan Member. I live at 1290 Hillcrest Road in Fairmont. I would like to thank the mayor, the city manager, and the opportunity to, and city council, the opportunity to talk to you again about the ongoing plans for a project known as Pierpont Square to honor Francis H. and Julia A. Pierpont. As you know, Francis Pierpont is called the father of West Virginia, and Julia A. Pierpont is considered by many historians to be the founder of Decoration Day, now known as Memorial Day, to honor those who served and died in the defense of our freedoms. Around 2 years ago, we discussed with City Council the idea of developing the green space in the 100 block of Adams Street and also incorporating the gravel parking lot into a city park. The mayor, city manager, and city council at that time said they thought it was a great idea and would be helpful in the revitalization of downtown Fairmont. But before the committee can go forward with this project, it would be a great assistance if we could have a written agreement that the city would grant the green space and the parking lot by resolution that this area be used for a city park called Pierpont Square. It is impossible to have fundraisers and to write grants for a project without the guarantee that this is a city project and the government of the city of Fairmont is 100% behind it. There has to be a formal declaration from the city government that they fully endorse the project by resolution. Mrs. Pettigrew from Main Street Fairmont has said that she would like to have 12 months of programs to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the city of Fairmont, founded in 1820. We would like the first month, January 2020, to be a kickoff for the celebration, calling it Pierpont Square Month, with the celebration to include 19th century style dinners, folklore readings, music from the 19th and early 20th century, and other events to begin this coming year-long celebration of the city of Fairmont. Members of the committee, who are, by the way, residents of the city of Fairmont, who volunteered their time to do this project, are Ron Chrislip, a local historian, Dr. Judy Byers, retired professor from Fairmont State, Joanne Lowe, retired professor from Fairmont State, Dr. Stan Swihart, retired physician, Reverend Dick Bowyer, retired Methodist minister, and Carolyn Neller, also retired from FSU. Dora Grubb, councilwoman from the city of Fairmont, and Alex Hale from Alpha Architects. And at this time, I would like to introduce Alex Hale, who will discuss the details of what Pierpont Square would look like as a city park. Alex?
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. Many of you I know, many of you know me. I'm an architect that works for Alpha Associates in Morgantown. I'm also a member of the American Institute of Architects, Liverpool Communities. And over the period of time and discussions, we were looking at this piece of property, and it's next to the Huntington Bank. Goes up the street on Adams, Meredith, and so on. And it's just under 1 acre. Originally, there was a department store that was there, and it's all filled. It's very expensive to build on that piece of property. So we're kind of looking at this and said, why not make this a public facility? Why not make this a public park green space? So through my cohorts at my office, since a lot of us live in Fairmont, we came up with a possible plan here. And what we did was we said, all right, this whole thing could become one large green space that could be utilized by all different community members and groups within the city. Now, I didn't do my own computer. I thought it would be nice. So what we've got going on here is that this green space has sight lines from point A to point B off Meredith Alley, Adams Street, over to Meredith. And what we've developed is a mini amphitheater that sets in here, where we would have a small stage that would back up against the Huntington Bank. And this green space actually it's grass block. It's actually concrete block that employs the grass in it. And you can mow it, you can drive on it, police cars can go on it, you can shovel snow off of it. It's it's not impervious, but it collects the rainwater, the runoff, and lets that percolate back into the ground. So once we took that a little bit further, we said, well, let's add in a couple of raised planter beds. So that these can become sensory planter beds with indigenous plants. So we're now entering into this kind of like little teachings, where we're teaching young children, different people about this is what's from here, this is what you can smell, this is the different feels. Included in this, we expanded it further and said, in this particular area, what we really need to do is recapture our runoff. So this becomes a dry pond. So sometimes it has cattails in it, sometimes it has nothing in it, but it captures the water from the site, all right, all the runoff. So we're not dumping it into the street, we're not dumping it into the river, it's percolating back into the ground. So we went further and said, all right, this needs a water fountain for the people that come out, it needs a little dog fountain to be attached to it. And we looked a little bit further, and we said, well, right in the middle, right about here, is where we need to have toiletries. You know, you've got a little park, why not? So the toilet rooms address many issues here in the city, such as people that don't, you know, you can't go to a restaurant and just use a toilet. All right, so they can come over here. This has also got the backside of it where it becomes a placard to the Pure Ponds. And this is a glass roof type situation that's lit from down, from the underside and from the top. And it helps illuminate and tells the history of the Pure Ponds. So once again, this goes back into education. We looked at it a little bit further and said, well, you know, what we need is a nice entrance right here, a hardscape entrance that's got seating, a little water wall, so that we've got, you know, a little noise out there, something that makes you feel good. And then we added a small pavilion to this. And as you look across this elevation, you'll see that there is lighting in here. This is our green space. This is the additional lighting. This is where the toilet room is. And then we added this, as I said, this pavilion. It's got the town clock, flags on it. And it just kind of flows and functions very well, and it works well. With the lighting, we decided that the best thing to do is dark sky lighting, so we're not polluting the sky with all of our extra floodlight that we're putting out there. And everything is basically on a recycle, so we're looking at the environmental impact as far as what's going on with this piece of property. But the biggest thing is that it becomes a teaching tool, but it's also a place to go. You know, it's like Fairmont has always been on the way to somewhere. Well, this gives us an opportunity to be a stop, a destination point. So that's what we're really looking at. And that's about all I can tell you right now. It is a concept. It's not written in stone. A lot of things can be changed. We know what the issues are with this parking lot right now. So this project could be done in phases. We could do phase 1, phase 2. We could look at possibly a phase 3. So we put a lot of work and a lot of time into this to come up with something that the whole community could really use and benefit. And being that it's adjacent to the library, we don't know what's going to happen with the Huntington Bank building yet, but that might become an art center. So this has good overflow from this building into this green space. And that's about where I stand. Are there any questions? Great. I'm happy.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
A couple of points I'd like to make, Mayor. First of all, the parking lot that you mentioned is tied up right now in litigation.
Right.
So we would love to be able to get that cleared up, but it's not.
Right.
And the second thing is, a couple of years ago, in the capital budget, there was money set aside to do something, not necessarily go plan, though I like it, but some kind of plan. Mm-hmm. And that money disappeared from the capital budget, unbeknownst to me, maybe some other council members knew, but it last year was not in there. So council in the past has supported the idea of doing something nice for the city. Your idea is a very nice one.
Thank you.
And I think that you're probably going to see support for revisiting the capital budget in order to get support money back in there.
Well, we'd like to see that very much, and, you know, it's just, everybody's going to win. It's a win-win, that's the way I look at it.
Sure.
If we did enough investigation on it, that you can't afford to build a building on that piece of property right now. It's nothing but garbage. I mean,
Subsurface is garbage.
Subsurface.
Yeah.
It is. It's the old building, they just filled it with brick and dirt, and it sets over a mine shaft. So there's a lot of potential problems down the road. So minimizing the cost, this was the best thing that, you know, I could come up with. Now, somebody may have a better idea, but I haven't heard of it yet.
It had sat empty far too long.
Yes.
And we've looked at it and we've said, gee, wouldn't it be nice? And nothing has happened. We thought we were making progress a couple of years ago, and then something happened. I don't know. But it's time to stop saying, wouldn't it be nice?
Right.
And saying, isn't it nice?
Yes, I did enjoy that. I think everybody in the city.
We're going to have some strategic planning sessions coming up very soon, and I think this might be a good thing to have discussion around and get councils.
At any time, I can make myself available or somebody from my staff to come in and explain a lot more about how this came about and what we're looking at on the whole.
We will discuss it more for sure.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, for the next citizen petition, Zachary Ayers. Your name and address and
My name's Zachary Ayers, I live on 816 Emerson Street. The reason I'm here today, as you guys, some of you may know, some of you may not, I think I talked to Ms. Kelly today. They milled the street about a year ago, maybe over a year, and, you know, then the fall came. I understand winter you can't pave. I assumed first thing this spring, you know, when the paving company started going, they would be out to pave it. I've had probably over $1,000 worth of damage to my vehicles from this has started. I've had tailpipes that I've had to replace on my O2 Malibu. I have a Chevy Sonic that I have down right now. I have a flex pipe I have to get. It's just starting to become a burden based on streets pulling in and out of my driveway. Mike, which I'm sure you got, Mike that lives right down Emerson Street, I talked to him. He said he spoke to somebody in the city. I don't know who. They said that you guys were coming. It was on your list to do.
it is.
It is. When do you know? Do you have a timeline when it will be?
I don't,
We don't have a start date yet, but the plan is to pave this fall. That's
Yeah.
the fall. That's been the plan. We don't pave in the spring. It's usually
Right,
fall.
in this
Right.
summer, fall.
Yes,
Right.
end of the summer, fall, yeah. But we don't have an exact date yet to start. But
You-
your street is definitely on the list.
right.
Okay,
You haven't been missed because of other pavings.
Right.
Right, well, I just wanted to show up and let my presence be known because
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys listening to me. That's really all I had. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Ms. Keller. I think I spoke to you on the phone. You were help. And thank you guys for your time. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, next citizen's petition, John Basajic. Could state your name and address, sir.
John Basajic, and the property is at 200 Fairmont Avenue, the old post office building. And then there was a lot of business conducted here long before you all were here, maybe at least, I don't know for sure. I think everyone, except the city clerk is here, I'm sure. Hello. And this won't take long. I don't have too much to say, except I need to get your attention. And it's worthwhile to stop here rather than make a few phone calls here and there. Except for 200 Fairmont Avenue, who has, what district is the person, contact person that I could have?
Your council person?
Yes. That's the city center district, from what I understand. I will follow up on that.
So You, Mr. Bledsoe.
Well, he'll be very nice to talk to about all these different issues I got going on. And I'm just getting started on some things. And, well, I just wanted to get your attention because I can't do this over a telephone call. And someone told me 3 years ago that my building's under the grandfather clause for historical. And then I asked the city and they said no, and that's not so. Also, don't do anything on the front sides or anything in the back. Well, they'll go before the city council if they want to make it any more strict. I shouldn't say that, that's just hearsay talk on the telephone. And I don't want to be a complainer, except I got to take care of my interests. But just lately they told me that, well, if someone's interested with something that they can just draw it up. Doesn't have to be architecture, and they can decide on that. And I did visit the Preservation Committee and talking to them a little bit about the same thing. But I talked to a lady and someone else about all this information. But I did talk to someone told me again, just 2-3 months ago, says, John, you need to sell your building. And by the way, you're under the grandfather clause. And this person don't want to talk about it for whatever reason, and I respect the person, and I haven't thought it out, I just can't mention this person's name because, I don't know, if someone helps me out, I just don't like to start talking about someone's name. And I need your help. If anyone has special knowledge about this, that I'm under the grandfather clause, that would be very nice. Please let me know. My telephone number's on that sign in the yard. And so if someone would, it's in the yard there, then this property though, I looked at all the properties from 99 all the way up to 3rd Street, and all the properties were resold after the new laws, except for, there's one building across the front steps from my building, my mother and my building, and that one's not historical, except the building my mother and I have is historical. It's the only one under the old laws before this was going on back in the 90s. And I talked to a city councilman, and he was very nice. And I like him, and I appreciated him. He went up to me and he talked to me about this later on. And I asked him about all this historical and zone changing. And he said that this had something to do, I said, did this have anything to do with the connector being built? And he just shook his head. So that's an interesting thing to think about. So now this historical, it's been very restricting, and an auto parts company called me up. And they said whenever I can get it off the historical list. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get it off the historical list, except I'm going to be researching this in the records room, city charter, ordinances, anything. So I need your help. If someone knows something, I'll have to stop. Yes?
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Besagian. What do you want to do with that property?
I want to sell it, and that's why I need to advertise correctly. I can't do anything wrong. So
do you have any objections to working with a realtor here in the city?
Yes, because I've already got it on LoopNet now, and I don't care to go through it. Maybe later on. I'm open-minded about it, except not at this time.
How much are you wanting for the property?
I'm asking $300,000, except it might go up a bit less.
50,000 less?
Huh?
50,000 less?
It's not a good time to talk about this right now.
No, I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, that's okay to ask.
This is exactly the time to talk about it.
Well, maybe if you talk to me on the telephone, maybe you can work out a few things. Yeah, call me up.
You answered my question.
The number's in the telephone book, I mean on that sign in the front yard. And all this research I've been doing, I'm going to have to do. And about this historical, the city council chose to go with the historical. There's other towns throughout West Virginia, they might not want to do any of this. They've got their own way of doing things. and they might be considered an all-American town, or they might not, I don't know. But the historic was crippling for my property, and for other properties, it's just okay. And anyone who owned my building probably would have never even supported all this stuff. Except it's, and I wasn't very well at the time to go here and talk about things like this. And I think this pretty much covers it all up. But things are going good for Fairmont, a lot of good things, and I do like the connector. Except someone just said that something like applications, either they said historical or the rezoning, but I think it was the historical, something like that had to do with the applications for the connector. So some people suffer, some people do better. So I got to research this and find out whether this applies to me. Just because someone says something like, I'm under the historically, if they don't write me a letter about it, then I really don't know whether that's even accurate or not. And then I hope someone wants to do the right thing and let me know. And I could probably write a book about a lot of this stuff. And,
I'm sure you could.
Could we all write books about things?
Yeah, your time's up.
Yes, and thank you for listening to me.
Absolutely, thanks for
I
coming.
hope we make progress, and because it's been since 1988 when I bought the property, before the new laws went into effect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
Take care. Okay, the next citizen petition, Stacy Henline and Jeff Maxwell.
I'm Jeff Maxwell from 809 Walnut Avenue.
I'm Stacy Henline. Do I have to?
We're here to speak on behalf of the Fairmont Homebrewers Club. We have, I guess, business before the council to seek approval to have, this will be our 7th annual Homebrewers Against Hunger event at Palatine Park. It would be a petition for a one-day open container. We have some stuff that we could get entered into the record if you need. It's information about the event. We're getting great support from local businesses donating prizes, raffles at the door. All of the proceeds from this event is given to local charities, the local food banks, the Mannington Food Pantry, the Soup Opera, and other charities.
Last year we were able to raise $4,500 and some change. All donation. Everything through that comes through the door is donation. The complete event is run through that. The donation that comes through the door gets you a wristband and some tickets to get some sample size that are by law for our home brewers that brew their own things. And then gets people in the door, and then they're able to sample beer. They're also provided with entertainment by local bands who provide their entertainment for free. We have some vendors who have come up in the past and set up booths and things so that they can get their name out there as well. The last couple of years, I, as a homebrewer wife, have been in charge of the raffle prizes. And so last year I was able to obtain almost $3,000 worth of donations for people to donate their money for tickets, for raffles. All of that money also goes towards the charities. And then people also bring in canned foods. And then those also can get you some extra tickets, an incentive for raffle prizes, things like that. We were also able to donate not only to the food bank charities, but we were also able to donate to some backpack programs last year because we had so much extra. So we actually were able to double last year what we made the previous year, and then almost triple from the year before. So since we started this program, which was originally done by Josh Clark, who kind of started the home brewers thing, we have able to go from about $700 up to $4,500 what we did last year. This year, I actually have been able to also get 3 to 4 Uber drivers to commit to our event, so that I can, because I definitely know the impact of people with drinking and driving. So this year I have been able to have some friends who are Uber drivers commit to our event. So I can have people here about an hour before our event to get them there, and then they're going to stay through the entire event and just kind of hang around and wait for people to ping them so they can get them to and from, and make sure that people are also getting to and from the event safely. So we are also very conscious of that as well. So since the event is growing, I wanted to make sure that we also have that kind of thing available.
Great. Stacy also checks IDs, and we get out wristbands, so there's no concerns of people that aren't of age consuming alcohol. And we as a club have purchased insurance, single event insurance through the American Homebrewers Association. So the event's covered, and like I said, it's been a great success, and we look forward to partnering with the city and with the county to continue to be able to give back to Fairmont and to provide an atmosphere for people to come out, spend the day at Palatine Park and listen to music.
Yeah, I've been certified through I was a bartender, so I would have to take a class to be certified to do that. So I am certified to check IDs, and then we do provide wristbands for those who are drinking. If you are not drinking, you do not get a wristband. So they are ID'd and then given wristbands so that if you don't have a wristband, then we know you can't drink. I've also served classic black eggs.
I believe we have the resolution tonight on
Yes,
business for you
that's
all.
what we're here to speak on behalf of the resolution and to give some information out if people needed some additional.
Perfect.
And we brought a flyer and our donation letter if you'd like a copy of that to add into everything.
Okay, thank you.
I do have
Thank
a
you.
question. Is this event kid-friendly?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had in the past a lot of people bring their kids with strollers and, because there's a lot of live music and in Palatine, and then they have the splash park right next door. So a lot of people kind of, do that thing, and but it definitely is kid-friendly, which I thought would be nice too, so that people, if they didn't want to drive. But I have a lot of people come and, it's the DD kind of thing, husband and wife, and then bring their kids, especially if it's nice out. But there's a lot of good music, and people have come with balloon animals, and there's funnel cakes and food trucks and all kinds of nice things. So it is definitely family-oriented.
And the tents are set up on the perimeter, so the inside of the whole field is open. If you didn't want to listen to partake in any of the drinking, the music is there, and you can engage in whatever level you want to.
Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have one question. First of all, thank you for doing what you're doing. I think it's a wonderful thing to help be done. But have you considered getting the members of your association together, talking to John about buying his building and turning it into something that would be terrific for the city of Fairmont and the restaurant?
Unfortunately, it may take a few years. 15 to
You guys can meet
Let's
afterwards.
say the members are only 12 or 15 local guys, but I'm sure they'll discuss it at their next meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the last citizen petition tonight is from Terry Burton. Mr. Burton. You give your name and address, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Councillor Terry Burton, and I live at 1406 Pennsylvania Avenue, Fairmont. Now, I did in fact reside here in Fairmont 24 years ago, and I had to return to England urgently when my mother became ill so I could spend time with her before she passed away. I thought I mentioned England in case you were confused about where I was from. Dear Mr. Kennedy, dear Mr. Mason, you understand now? We've already spoken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My former home here was that magnificent historical turreted home at 500 Ogden Avenue, known as Ogden House, and aptly named after the Ogden family. That's that derelict one on the corner next to the newspaper office. I've been horrified over the years when my in-laws who live locally have given me updates on its terrible demise. Unfortunately, it's been neglected to a state where it's now been condemned because it was abandoned, vandalised, trashed and rotted throughout, making it completely uninhabitable. I even offered to buy it back from the owner that bought it from me in 1997 because I knew I was going to have to spend $100,000 at least to do something with it, but he's ignored all the letters, he ignores everybody, so what on earth is going on we don't know. This beautiful This beautiful stately home with its magnificent fireplace mantels, Grecian columns, plate glass mirrors, which are now smashed, and grand oak staircase must be preserved. Even the butler's pantry below stairs now have the glass windows in the display cabinets smashed. Back in the 1990s, I was restoring it, and I had to find many antique whiskey bottles, among other things, under floorboards. Obviously, the builders back in the 1800s in West Virginia enjoyed their tipple while they were working. But I also discovered many letters between mother and son in a file from 1890 to 1910 while he was away at college. And your local newspaper, not a lot of people bother to read anymore, so they haven't got a clue what's going on, used to follow my stories. This is 1995 when I was still restoring the house. I've been in the paper 3 times since then. This family were pharmacists and publishers of the Ogden Publishing Company, who I believe may still print the Yellow Pages. The great-grandson even came to visit me once to see his ancestral home. All the artifacts I found were lodged at the Historical Preservation Department in West Virginia University, along with bottles. The only thing I've kept was a Coles magazine from 1909, which is fascinating. Mr. Mayor, during my time back in England, I got involved in politics. And I was duly elected as a politician for 2 4-year terms. I was the Deputy Mayor in London. I was appointed onto numerous committees, a judge on the Appeals Court, liquor licensing, Chairman of Planning and Environment Committee, among others. And it's in this that I really get involved. Because in London, I had a population of over 9 million people I was responsible to in citizens, and an area of only 606 square miles. You compare that to Fairmont. And plus, in the outer London, I had 3.5 million residents I was responsible to. My job was to preserve London's green belt, precious conservation areas, the 16th century, 17th and 18th century homes and buildings, scrutinising any planning, developments, repairs and upkeep, not forgetting the Roman wall in London and over 1,000 years of history. For over 21 years, plans have been in the making for Heathrow Airport's 3rd runway, one of the busiest in the world. The runway development, imagine the outcry this has had. It will go through and destroy 3 12th century villages, and they're going to do a government order to buy it. So here in America, you're only 243 years old. Very few people seem to care about preserving your heritage. It's a constant uphill battle watching the few fighting bureaucracy to save old buildings and more. I've just witnessed the destruction in Georgia, where I've been living for 11 years, of a pre-Civil War church situated in a field because they just wanted it out of the way. They just destroyed it. It was interesting to note in last week's newspaper again how Mayor Amy Goodwin of Charleston is introducing 2 bills to deal with such vacant and derelict properties in the city of Charleston. And I've been advised by your city something like 156 derelict abandoned properties in your town. We all know the saying, procrastination is the thief of time. So I'm begging for this council to get actively involved now and do something to gain possession through a court order of 500 Ogden Avenue and preserve this valuable piece of history for your city and its residents. And it could serve so many purposes. Let me just add, I had a wonderful input from Miss Janet there. She told me about the Historic Preservation Review Commission to advise with this. But at the end of the day, the council, the mayor, you folks here are responsible for maintaining this city, controlling the rules, the regulations, the bylaws. It starts at the top and works down. And they would obviously be my next contact under your direction. So I'm also grateful for the support of Ms. Jodie Morris, the Director of the Historical Society Museum. And I can assure you, Mr. Mayor, with my experience, I'm going to help you in any way that I can, as you advise me, to restore and preserve this historic house for the citizens of Fairmont. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, I still read the newspaper every day.
People rely on the television and the internet, and they don't take what's going on in Fairmont.
Yeah.
Buy your newspaper.
you very much. There has been some discussion on that home previously. And we will get paychecks what correct. Right.
Thank you, Mr.
We are
Mayor.
familiar with it. Okay. City managers report.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I will echo a lot of the statements that were made under your comments of Mayor and Council, but of course I want to thank city staff for the fire department, chief, fire department, police department, public works, for the hard work that they did and the diligent work during that storm. I believe at first we thought it was a tornado, but it turned out to be a microburst, but regardless of what it was called, it did a lot of damage, and staff did a lot of good work to get things cleaned up. And I also want to thank the citizens, because I saw a lot of citizens out there, cleaning up, cleaning their sidewalks, their trees and bushes themselves. I know that the citizens themselves had a lot of hard work too, and I thank them for that. Also want to give a shout out to our second successful National Night Out. I'm sorry that I missed that, Chief, being away. So I want to make sure we talk to the municipal league and not necessarily have our meetings during that same night. But I saw some great pictures, and I think that it was a wonderful time for staff and the community. So thank you all for working on that. I also, of course, want to congratulate Janet. Janet, we're so proud of you because that was a nice surprise. It was wonderful. Not that it was a surprise that you got it, but it was a surprise that night. Because as soon as they started talking about that, I thought our Janet should have that. And
Yes, it too.
I was very happy that he called your name. It was wonderful. And just the last thing, Mr. Mayor, everyone on council was given a copy of the annual report for your policemen and firemen pension funds. That is a state requirement to ensure that you have those annually. And I'm not going to go through the whole report tonight, but if you have any questions, please contact me. And that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this time, Joel, if you want to come forward, you're on the schedule to do your presentation. I've heard about Joel well before he came tonight in a few Main Street meetings, talking about murals. And go ahead, sir.
If you'll bear with me while the projector kind of warms up here, the image comes up on the screen. I'd like to cover a few things. Obviously, I'd like to thank Tom Manella for inviting me and reaching out and making contact with me via email, and Ms. Keller for your contact, and Mayor Merrifield, thank you very much. I will say that this project and this vision all started with a simple conversation between two neighbors. And I am thankful that a good friend and a neighbor of mine is Butch Tennant, and we talked a little bit about a vision and really this sense of place and what I am naming kind of finding place in Marion County, or this relationship between Marion County, City of Fairmont, Fairmont State, is something that happened really as a home-cooked idea. So I will introduce you. I'm new to the city. I own a home over in Sylvan, 913 Sylvan. My wife and I are transplanted. We've been here a little over a year. I teach at Fairmont State University. I am an art professor, and most importantly, for a long time I ran a public art business, and I painted murals all over the East Coast. And so as I talk a little bit about this project, I really want to start to tie together some things we heard tonight. Because if we think a little bit even of the leading prayer that Dee Dee led for us, and some of the other things that people were echoing, we're talking about finding a sense of place and identity and preserving the footprints of our ancestors so that they don't get washed away. And so as I talk to you a little bit about this project, I'm really talking about the scope of something that is projected out to the summer of 2020. Fairmont State University students and myself would work to complete a 40-foot mural honoring a few of the noteworthy icons of Marion County. The goal of this project is to connect two ends. So if you go down to Palatine Park, obviously a lot of us are either going to the north end, for me, which represents the area where the amphitheater is, or where the splash pad is, or the south end where the boat launches are right now. But there's a center portion there that I don't want to say is kind of been lost in transition, but it's dark and it's somewhat kind of derelict, okay? So the goal of this project for me is to do two things. Remind us of a sense of place and really help to honor the icons that have made this town what it is, and also to help to unite those two portions of Palatine Park. So by creating this partnership between Marion County, the City of Fairmont, Fairmont State University, we're able to keep our talent home. And that became something that was really interesting to me is I teach all these youth who are extremely talented, but they drive back to Clarksburg or Bridgeport, but they go up the road to the town we won't talk about, and what they essentially do is they outsource their talent. But they're not leaving the evidence of it here on our walls inside of our community. So as a business owner, I ran what was Dugan Studios. 2001, 2008, I'm a young student in my junior year, opportunity gets dropped on my shoulders, and the state of Michigan needs a mural for the Capitol building in Lansing, Michigan. I embark on this project during one summer, and I create what at that time, and still to today, is the only painting other than the portraits of all of the governors for the state. This painting represented the Straits of Mackinac. So it was the connection between the Lower Peninsula and Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This transformed my idea of what it meant to be an artist, because no longer am I creating art in a vacuum, but I'm thinking about my patron as the people that occupy that place. What happens then is you open up local forums. You talk to the community members and you say, what is important for you? What makes place? What identifies place? And you start to take into consideration that when developing an idea. So when giving you a notion of how this would impact it, this project here was done with myself and students under my lead 3 years ago in Kansas. And so we entered the inside of what was the student union at that time for our university, and these walls were bare. And when we walked in, they said, what do you think this is the first thing that students see? And I said, yeah, it's a band. It's the worst thing we want to show students. I said, there's no evidence of who made this place possible. And so we slowed down and we thought about it a little bit, and we started to create a representation of what was the pioneers. One of the very first homes that was created was a little stone home. After that, we worked on one that was indicative of the train station and those people making their way to what was Hays, Kansas. And then in addition to that, in the center, and I'll have to back up, I don't have one of them, it was the very first building that established the actual college. I found since that event, 4 of those students have embarked on their own adventures, and they've all started to be public artists. I think that ownership creates place, and I want to preserve these footprints. So what I'm kind of proposing to you is a project that is a true partnership. And it would take place in Palatine Park, just behind this amphitheater up against the wall. And it would be this wall that is over here just to the right of the stairs and to the left of the bridge. And what I am asking to be done is I'd like to flatten the space. I'd like to preserve what is left there. I'd like to prime and flatten it. I'd like to have the ability to have it actually partitioned off so that my students and I could work for about 6 weeks at most to implement it. I do need some type of movable scaffold or cherry picker that I would either see if the county would have it or the city would have it that we might utilize. I'll find a partnership to possibly supply the paint. I'll donate my services on behalf of the university, and I would run the class in the spring with the idea that we would hold 2 focus groups, we would create designs, we would propose those back to the city and the county, and when getting authorization, we would then implement. My hope is that then we reveal this during the 4th of July ceremonies in 2020. Yes. So this is purely a digital collage. So as I show this to you, I will just say, it is just a placeholder. And what I want you to think about is the history that can be indicative of this footprint, right? So I had just pulled this off of the county website and looking at notable people, but we would create the actual piece of work after holding 2 open forums and developing then that concept. And the students and I would complete the mural in its totality. So as you think about it, these icons, as we look at them, we've got, George Spanky Roberts, we've got Herschel Woodrow, it's got Johnny Johnson, Mary Lou Retton, and at this time it does have Joe Manchin. And that is kind of an issue where, if somebody inside of the forum just feels like there's other people like the Pierpont family, if I can find additional references through the Historical Society, I would like to supplement those. For this sketch, I was limited to what I could find at the time. So it is somewhat linked to the sources. So I'm thinking about the public art course taking place in spring 2020 with community focus groups and ideation sessions. Then a sketch would be developed, a proposal would be made. Painting would commence those 4 to 6 weeks from May to June as I would kind of involve the students in early summer. And then the reveal would take place Independence Day 2020. So what I'm asking for is a space. And I think through my efforts and my students' visions, we could create an identity that would help to preserve the footprints of who made this city what it is.
And we have a lot of history, as you've noticed. I mean, FK Everest. I mean, it goes on and on, right? Rich? I mean, now, you said that you came here with Dr. Martin, right?
True. My wife and I were recruited by Dr. Martin. My wife is a VP for University Relations and Marketing. And we've done,
I've done several things with her so far, and it's enlightening that you're the kind of person that she brings to Fairmont to help us maybe get out of our way a little bit, tell about who we are, what we have to offer. And I've seen your work before, I mentioned to you before, from her pictures. And you just, the quality of your work, but then the fact that you're here, you're donating your time and whatnot, I hope that council finds it, among us, we support this type of project. But thank you for coming and presenting this. Does anyone else have any questions?
Joel, from the conversation that took place at the county commission meeting, it sounds like they're very willing to participate. And it's the city's wall.
Right.
Correct.
And you're looking at probably, you estimated $10,000.
Correct.
In expense to prepare the wall.
Correct.
Ernie kind of thought he could get the paint donated.
Correct.
Although it's the county's park, it's the city's wall.
Correct.
So, and you also need to explain to them about the anti-graffiti covering you can put on this mural.
Correct. Yes. And then, so when we think a little bit about maintenance, that becomes 2 issues. One, I think that it is imperative that you think about lighting, because the artwork alone is not going to help to create the impact needed to get rid of that light and keep people away from lingering right there in that little nook. I think if there were canister lights that came over the top and were projected downward onto the image, I think it would become a beacon when you're coming across either one of the 2 bridges, and it would help to illuminate that space and make it safer. 2, in terms of long-term maintenance, I've had a lot of experience in public art. Usually what I like to do is have some funding that you put away just for upkeep. And so there's a sealant that you can buy that you can apply to the outside of the surface as an anti-graffiti sealant. It'll allow you to light pressure wash it with a citrus cleaner. It'll strip back any spray paint and or marker that would be kind of applied to the surface. And you do it in 2 or 3 coats, and it'll allow you also to kill UV rays. Estimated time, I think before you're looking at any fading in the color, it's like a 15 to 18 year period.
Wow. You mentioned earlier about the county and the city and the university collaborating, and this is just right down our alley. Those aren't just words. I mean, there's a true willingness and desire for the 3 of us to work together and see what we can get done in tandem, because we've coexisted for so long and done pretty well. But there's a real effort to build those relationships, and they're going pretty good. And in my opinion, this is just perfect for getting us started. But thank you for coming and offering this to us. And to be able to show our some of the people that we're most proud of that come from this area for the first one, I just think it doesn't get much better than that.
Well, Mayor, I thank you very much for your time. I'll say there's a lot of wall down there. And if we can find the paint, I can get the manpower to paint that wall. And so there's a lot of opportunities both to the left and the right on that space. And I think we have the ability to create a very vibrant public park initiative. So, I mean, all I'm asking for is an opportunity to create a real world experience for these kids. Because there's only so much you can do in the confines of a room. And when you can get out and you can touch people, you can make real change. And we all talked about that storm the other day. And the most impactful thing that happened for me with the storm, and I don't want to discount anybody's efforts, but I got to a street where it was blocked. And there was about 5 of us in trucks behind one another. And we all parked those trucks and got out. One person had a chainsaw. And I'll tell you, for 35 minutes, there were 8 men. We worked together. We removed those trees. And at the end, I said, it's nice in today's time and era to say, you know what? Us 8 men, regardless of race, religion, or political disposition, worked together in tandem and made change.
Amen. We're winning.
We're winning. We're winning. Yes. But we made change. And that felt great.
Well, Mayor, I think you're absolutely right. This is exactly what you've been talking about, bringing the city, the county, and the university together on projects. And this is, you're right, the exact kind of project we need to start with.
Well,
so what do we need to do in order to say yes?
Well, again, we need to get the will of council behind you, because I'm one person of 9, and we're going to have these work sessions very soon, strategic planning, and I would say this is another good one to toss around.
Or I think something like this, and I have to check with Kevin, but I believe you possibly do that with a resolution, council. I don't know if we take an ordinance or not, but yeah, we have to bring that before them so that the body can vote on moving forward with that.
So you're wanting to find out when to start, you probably went over it, and I was looking at your artwork, but are you wanting to start working next spring or this spring?
I would run a course on public art and mural specific heading for this project. We would execute that during the spring. The actual painting would not take place until early summer. And I believe from the county interaction, the county was really supportive of it. I think that they had some business owners who had come forward with the idea of even donating their service to help prime and flatten the wall. It was more we needed a true partnership to come together to utilize it because it is shared space.
Yes.
So when do you need to have an answer, Joel, in order to start in the spring? You need to plan and go through the university process. When do you need an answer?
It would be good if I could propose the class by the end of September.
End of September. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. I know this is a computer workup, but in all your other work, I love the historical figures up on the board, but are you going to incorporate any of the beautiful landscape nature that we have? Can you incorporate that in any way?
True. The landscape is something that could easily be adopted, especially if we're thinking about people. It could be something where I could, instead of working on a collage, we're talking about topographical views of city streets or something, I could put them into the surrounding space. But I would also say that, I think that once we get one piece in place, the possibilities, once you have a visual, will be there.
More than one.
Yeah, so I think that we have really wonderful, talented students, and I want to give them the freedom to propose, their vision. So I don't want to hinder them too much, but I am always willing to paint the kind of vibrant landscape.
Because of the way the labor is going to be provided, and with possible donations of paint and things like that. This isn't a very expensive project. It's not very expensive. So if you get everything organized with what you need, get an idea of the expense, you probably need to come back to us sometime in December, because we formulate the budget in January.
Well, we need to get them,
So
we
if you
need to
come
get
prior to
them
that,
going
we can plug something
in September.
hopefully. But I think you can assume that it's probably going to be
Right. I mean, depending upon the cost, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be that much of a cash outlay, from what I'm understanding with some of the donations. And if your $10,000 was one of your estimates for maximum cost, and if the county is sharing with us, that could be something that we could even possibly do, or have positive, but possibly do through a budget revision, even in this year's budget.
Yeah, that
If you need answers, you said by September.
That $10,000 is the cost of raw materials.
Right.
So if we go down the route that one of the county commissioners had suggested that they even had an entity that might be willing to donate some paint, obviously those contributions would help to reduce that total. But if we're just looking at raw costs, I think that we're in the range of $10,000. Yes.
We could do not to exceed. Either in kind services
in this town.
I hope so.
I've been saying for years that those walls are screaming to be painted just the way you want to do it. And it's not just that section, of course you can only do so much, but there's a whole section all over Market Street that could be done as well, and it would absolutely do wonders for that area. So I'm 100% behind this and hope we can help you get moving with it.
Thank you. I will tell you that since I presented to the county, I've been contacted by 2 other local municipalities to possibly come down. And the first thing I said to them is, I'll have to get you in line, because I'm doing Fairmont first.
great.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for being in town. Okay,
What got it? I mean, you can actually.
consideration of council business.
Yeah.
Agenda item number 1 is for the adoption of an ordinance. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
That's 2 weeks ago.
The clerk, please read the ordinance by title.
I'm sorry.
An ordinance authorizing and approving the design, acquisition, construction, and equipping of a new fire station to be constructed on real property located in the vicinity of 828 Vermont Avenue in the city of Fairmont, and to be known as the East Side Fire Station by the city of Fairmont on behalf of the Fairmont Building Commission. The leasing of such real property and all project improvements and appurtenances thereto by the city of Fairmont from the Fairmont Building Commission. The sale and issuance by the Fairmont Building Commission of not to exceed $3 million principal amount of lease revenue bonds in one or more series, prescribing the forms and authorizing the execution and delivery of an agreement and lease and other instruments, and authorizing the approval and other documents and matters relating to the terms and security of such bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Blood?
Yes.
Councilmember Grubb?
Yes.
Councilmember Yan?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Yes.
Councilmember Bledsoe?
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilmember Mason?
Yes?
Councilmember Manella?
Yes.
Mayor Merrifield?
Yes. Okay. I declare this ordinance adopted by unanimous vote. Agenda item number 2 is for the introduction, first reading, and to set a public hearing of an ordinance. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second. Would the clerk please read the ordinance by synopsis?
An ordinance to approve and adopt current replacement pages to the Fairmont City Code. Various ordinances have been passed by council which should be included in the city code book. This ordinance approves and adopts the ordinances as prepared and published by the Walter H. Drain Company to be included in the city code as of July 2019 replacement pages.
Thank you. All in favor of setting the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is set for August 27th. Agenda item number 3 is for the introduction, first reading, and to set a public hearing for an ordinance. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Would the clerk please read the ordinance by synopsis?
An ordinance providing for an amendment to the City of Fairmont's 2019-2020 annual budget coal severance. This ordinance provides for a coal severance budget revision for the 2019-2020 annual budget. This revision will be the first revision for this current fiscal year.
All in favor of setting the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is set for August 27th. Agenda item number 4 is for the introduction, first reading, and to set a public hearing for an ordinance. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Would the clerk please read the ordinance by synopsis?
An ordinance of the Council of the City of Fairmont providing for and authorizing the transfer and conveyance of a certain parcel of real estate situated in the City of Fairmont, Fairmont District, Marion County, West Virginia, Block 3, Lot 8, Rhea Terrace, Plat 104-144-145, Tax Map 27, Parcel 23, and Block 3, Lot 9, Rhea Terrace, Tax Map 27, Parcel 22, from Andrew C. Ballard to the City of Fairmont, approving the form and transactional documents and authorizing the city manager to execute and deliver them on behalf of the City of Fairmont. Ratification. By this proposed ordinance, the Council of the City of Fairmont provides for and authorizes the city manager to do all things necessary to provide for the transfer of the parcel of real estate described in the ordinance title from Andrew C. Ballard to the City of Fairmont. In addition, by this proposed ordinance, the Council for the City of Fairmont ratifies, confirms, and approves all actions taken in furtherance of the transactions contemplated by this ordinance, which may have occurred prior to the ordinance's effective date. The transactions contemplated by this ordinance are for the purposes of providing for the abatement of a dilapidated, abandoned, and vacant structure.
All in favor of setting the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is set for August 27th. Agenda item number 5 is for the adoption of a resolution. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. We adopt the resolution.
I'm sorry?
Everyone likes it.
Barry said we moved to adopt the resolution.
Oh, okay. Good. Would the clerk please read the resolution by synopsis?
A resolution of the Council of the City of Fairmont endorsing the 7th Annual Home Brewers Against Hunger event sponsored by the Fairmont Home Brewers Club to be held at Palatine Park on Saturday, September 14, 2019. This proposed resolution provides for the City of Fairmont's support for the 7th Annual Home Brewers Against Hunger charity event, the purpose of which is to raise funds in support of local food banks. This event is sponsored by the Fairmont Home Brewers Club and is slated to be held at Palatine Park on Saturday, September 14th from 12 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. This resolution contains a disclaimer that by supporting this event, no relationship is created between the City of Fairmont and the event sponsor.
Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Manella?
Yes.
Councilmember Yan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilmember Mason?
Yes.
Councilmember Grubb?
Yes.
Councilmember Blood?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Yes.
Councilmember Bledsoe?
Yes.
Mayor Merfield?
Yes. I declare this resolution adopted by unanimous vote.
Mayor, I move we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Stay here.